Hello, I'm Big Dave and I am here to teach you about Redstone. This is Redstone 101. The first of hopefully a series on how to use Redstone and a few other tips and tricks. Mostly for beginners at start, but there should be something in here for everybody. So first off, I'll show you exactly how various sources of energy power things. So you can see here these are redstone lamps. They're all switched off at the moment. They are all powered by this switch. So this switch is attached to this block here. And what happens is the block that the switch is occupying, as in the space in the world, so you can't put a block over the top of this because it's taking up space in the world, that block gets powered. The block that it's touching, as in the wall it's on, also gets powered, which is why you end up with this sort of double point shape. So if it were just powering a single block, all these ones around it, all 6 of these blocks would be powered. And if this one was powered only, that one, that one, that one, that one, that one, and this one would be powered, but obviously it's not. So you get this sort of 2 by 3 sort of shape that gets powered. As you can see, these ones down the bottom, they don't get powered. What does happen is, if you put it on the bottom, you'll notice that this one gets powered, and all the ones around it do, but those ones don't. So the shape that you saw, the sort of elongated cylinder thing, that depends on where you actually place the button. So as you can see here, that one gets powered, so the one below it, the one above it, and you can sort of see the pointed shape has appeared again. And if I do it on this side, the pointed shape has appeared again. All surrounding that block and that block. So any block that surrounds those 2 middle blocks gets powered. Now, what can we do with this power other than turning lights on and off? Well, you can send it to places. You can send it to places that are outside the initial reach of this. So we'll switch that on, and you'll see on this flat plane we've got a little T shape. Unfortunately, what we really want to do is turn this cross on. So what we do is we take some redstone dust, we place it on here. You can see now that's glowing bright red. If we turn it off, you'll see it's dark and no particles. So it's bright red with particles when it is active. And voila! We are activating the cross on the front. Now, this is a slight trick of redstone in that if you have a line like this, what actually happens is this block here, the block that it finally touches, will become powered. This stops happening if there is a junction. So if I put a bit of redstone here, you'll see that that block is no longer powered. And that block is no longer powered because the power is no longer going into that block, it's going this way. So if I were to do that, you'll see that that block gets powered now. And if I were to do this, the block no longer gets powered because it's just going round in a circle. Now, what happens if you want to do something like this, yet you want that one to be powered? Well, you take what's called a redstone repeater, and that will ensure that the power goes through in the same way. Now, the good thing about the repeater is you can also set up a delay of so many ticks. You see that goes on, and there's a delay. And now there's a very little delay. The good thing about just using the redstone is that it's instantaneous. There is no delay as in with the redstone repeater, and it is useful for instantaneous circuits, but you have to remember you cannot divert the flow in any way, shape or form. So next up is how far can we actually take this power? Well, it's quite simple. We can take it 16 blocks with just redstone alone. So we'll switch this block on. The goal of this one is to turn this block on. However, as you can see here, it gets fainter and fainter and fainter until it stops, and it's no particles coming up, so you know that it's not got any power going to it. This is bad, because it only goes 16 blocks before it runs out of power. So what can we do? Well, again, our little friend, the redstone repeater, is here to help. Stick the redstone repeater down, you can see that it's getting darker, 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 darker. Goes through the repeater and becomes powered again. And goes straight into here. Now, like I said before, there is a slight delay now in turning it on, and you can increase that delay using the repeater. This is useful for pretty much any timing circuit and is the basics of most redstone electrics. Next up, I'll show you exactly what you can power for the most part. First off is a piston that goes up and down and pushes blocks, so we'll put a light on it, switch it on. See, there's no power going into that light, so it's not like it's switching on or anything. It's the piston that's pushing up, and if we switch it off, piston comes down and the block stays where it is. Maybe wondering why that's powered. It's because of the lights above it. Next up is the music block. So it plays music when you hit it, but that just changes the note. What actually powers the same note again is switching it on. So switching it off doesn't do anything, switching it on does it, and no amount of leaving it on will make it play again. You can actually do the same here with a button. In fact, all the things with regards to levers are exactly the same as regards to buttons. Now the dispenser is exactly the same as the music box, except instead of dispensing music, it dispenses things. And in our case, it dispenses a squid. Nice little bit of ink sac. Now, that is the basics of redstone, in that you're powering things, you are transferring power, and you know exactly what gets powered by what. Now, when it comes to the next source of power, a redstone torch, it's slightly different. So we'll start off with a row. So we'll place a redstone torch on this block, and as you can see, it's a rather odd shape. It doesn't activate the one that it's on, it doesn't power the one that it's on. It only powers the ones to the side of it, above in diagonal, and above too. So what's actually happening here is this is powering this one, in the same way that if you placed a button, a lever here, would power them. The only difference is it doesn't power down. Never powers the one that you stick it on. So that would be exactly the same as if I had put the button on the bottom, but if I put the lever there, you see it doesn't do anything. Put the lever there. So it is odd the redstone torch doesn't always work the way you expect it to. It will never power the block that it's attached to. It will only power the blocks around the one that it's attached to. And it will power 2 up rather than just 1 up. So yeah, it likes to transfer power up, and as far as I'm aware, you can't attach it to the top, so you can't make it go down. It will only ever transfer power up better than it will down. Which is a real shame, because, to be perfectly honest, transferring power up is easier than transferring power down. And the same goes for here. So if I stuck that there, it wouldn't power it, but if I stuck it here, it would. But obviously, it's not powering the one above it. So if I stuck that here, it would power it like a switch. So the torches are slightly different from levers, which is why whenever you're doing user activated things, you're best just using a lever. If you're doing power transfers or any fancy circuits, which we'll be going on to in the next episode, you use a redstone torch for your logic. So that was the basics of redstone. I've been Big Dave, and I will see you next time.